Hi, I'm Scotty. Welcome back to Scotty's Clock World. I upload new videos Sunday and Wednesday of every week. This is another Platform Dancers music box cuckoo clock that we've got here. Seems to be in relatively good nick, other than that hand is broken. It's going to come off as soon as we try to move it. But we'll replace that. We've got spares in stock. The casework of the clock seems to be in pretty good nick actually. There's the inside, there's the movement. We'll see if the bellows work. They seem to work. There's chains running at the bottom, and notice that there's one missing, and that's the chain that drives the music box. It's either come off its great wheel, or because it hasn't got a weight hook on it like so, one of the links is caught up in the ratchet. So we're going to have to take the bellows and the pipes out, and then take the movement out, and then we can see exactly what's happening. Right, turn that over. There's an unusual strop ring on one of the chains. Used to belong on someone's key fob at one time by the look of it. This is a pendulum that came with a clock. I've never seen one of these clocks before, so I don't know whether that's original or a replacement. A very different looking cuckoo clock pendulum. These are the weights that came with the clock, 2 of them. Obviously we need a third one. I'll have to get one of those. They're 320 grams. You'll notice on the top of these weights that the hook is set into the weight. That's a wire hook set into the weight. And they changed in about 1970, I think. These are prior to 1970. After that, there's a loop cast into the weight, and that hangs on the weight hook. So that's the difference. You can see there. Right, first thing to do is to remove 1 and a bit hands, because that piece of the hand is broken off. So I'll start off by loosening that knurl nut a little bit. It's still tight. Okay, finally got the knurl nut loosened sufficiently that we can take it off. It was seriously tight on there, very, very tight. That's what remains of the minute hand. I'll take the hour hand off, fingernails underneath, and gently prise it off. Put those aside. Now we can turn the movement over and look at removing these couple of weight hooks so that we can pull the chains up through the bottom of the case and remove the movement. Right, so that's what's happening at the moment. I'll take that horrible keychain thing off. You certainly don't want that on there. I'll replace that with a proper stop ring when we get down to there. Right, now these weight hooks are very close to the bottom of the case, but I think we'll be able to get them out without too much drama. Well, I hope we do. I'll open that up, remove that hook, and I'll remove that link. Will be the easiest way to do that. That's one. Now the second one is deeper inside the case, and that's got a bend in it too, so I'll have to straighten that up later on. But the main thing is to get it removed so we can pull the chains up through the case, and that other loose link will drop into the case. We'll get that later on. Alright, now first thing we've got to do is remove the pipes and the bellows. So before we tackle that, we'll have to undo the wires that lift the bellows top. That's a low note. I think tiny bit more on that. That should drop out. Yep, that's dropped out. Right. Now we want the high note. Hold the lift wire with a pair of pliers so we don't bend it in the wrong direction. And then bend back the turned over piece down the bottom. See if that has dropped out. There we go, that's dropped out. And I've put a slight bend in that unfortunately, so I'll have to straighten that once we get the movement out. Now we've got a very small screw here that's holding the pipes and bellows in. I'll undo that. And take that out. And then very carefully, I have a feeling that might be glued in. Right, I'll have a look and see. I'll see if I can, yeah, it was glued in, but fortunately very, very weakly. So there we go. That's a high note. You can see there's a tiny little bit of wood has come off there. They've glued it in because it hasn't got a little brad holding it in. There's a hole there where the brad used to go, but I would say the last person who played around with this didn't put the brad in, they put a tiny little bit of glue on to hold it. Okay, low note now. Undo the screw, remove it, and once again, being very careful, we're going to have to ease the bellows out. There you heard the glue snap, so that's all right. We'll take that out. Bit dusty, but that's a low note. So they seem to be working all right. Now, what have we got here? I'll have to undo the little bird from the front door, otherwise we won't be able to take the movement out. There he is, he just appeared. I'll turn that back a little bit. Luckily it's a soft piece of wire and it pulls out relatively well. I'll close down the front door so it doesn't flap round and get caught, and then turn the movement over again. Whoa, that is going to be fun. I might have to take I don't think I'm going to be able to get at the fourth screw down there that's holding the movement in. I might have to take the music box out with those two screws there. I'll just check and see what we've got. Yeah, that's meshed in there. All right. Well, I'll undo those couple of screws. We'll take the music box out first. The screws and the washers are pretty rusty, so large screwdriver to the rescue. So we'll tidy them up before we put them back in. A few turns on that one and a few turns on that one, and we can have a look and see what the effect is in here. Yep, that's coming off. All right, I'll take those out and screw them right through. Being careful of that fine piece of wood in behind the music box there that removes it from the side of the wall a little bit, so we don't break it. It's looking pretty dry. Alright, that's the first one. Back onto the second one. And get a grip, not quite there yet, on the music box. It should now just slide out. Screws are gone. There's our piece of wood that was behind it as a spacer. Now we'll see what we've got here in relation to getting our music box out. And there it is there. Pretty dusty, we'll have to clean that up, but it should be turning. That arresting arm is out of that little hole there. So it should be turning around. There's no resistance on the fan. We got over the back here, those gears seem to be alright, but we'll have a look and see. Alright, now we can get down to the business of removing the movement with 4 screws. Top one up here. See if we can get that out with a pair of tweezers. Should be. Here we go, first one. Over the top up here now. Unscrew that. There we go, came out at the end of the screwdriver. Obviously a little bit of magnetism there somewhere down the line. The next one, over here. Wind it out, collect the screw. Whoop, dropped him. There we go. And the 4th one, which is over here. The slot in that screw, that seems to have it. Twist him round. Out it comes. Alright, now being a bit on the careful side, because we don't want to hurt the little bird, but a set of platform dancers. Oh, there we go, that's got him. Oh, a bit nervous. There's our movement. Another GM engine. Alright, we'll get round to checking that in a minute, but we'll take the chains out first. Put that on the desk. Undo the knots in the chains so we can pull them through. They're not too badly knotted considering. Getting right down towards the end there, there's a bit of a knot there, but that coming over to there, and those two there. Right, so we've now got a couple of stop rings to take off, so we'll remove those. Then we'll have a look and assess where we are. I'll take that link off, put it over there. Now the next one, grip on the link with a pair of pliers, another pair of pliers, grip the other end, open them up, take the stop ring out, then remove that link. Now we can pull the chain through. Here we go. Put the case over there for the moment, and then we can start to investigate what's happening here. Everything seems to be pretty well frozen. Nothing's moving. All right. I'll leave that sitting there for a moment. I'll clean up the mess I've got here on the desk, work out what I've got to save and what I'm not, and then I'll come back. Right, I'm cleaning up the bench a bit so we can see what we're doing. It's a GM engine, music box clock. That's where the parts are going to go. I've got them in their own little bags. They all have their names written on them, so we know exactly what they are. The hooks, music box parts, movement screws. We'll clean them up before they go back in. Broken hands, we'll need another set of those, but I've got those. And the pipe screws. And the two pipes, left and right. And there they are, there's our box of goodies from the clock so far. Right, now we need to find out what the story is with these chains, why they're not, why the movement seems to be solid. Get them sorted out. We can pull them through. Then we'll be able to start working on the movement. As I said, the platform is solid, it's not moving, and there's obviously some chains caught up in there. Right, we'll take this one out first. We'll have a look at this one. And that's got rid of one of the chains. That one running up at the top comes out there. So the problem one at the moment is this guy here. I'll take that out so we can see where we're going. And we want to pull that out now. Alright, that's come out. Excellent. Alright, all the chains are out. They'll all go in another box in a minute. Now before we go any further, I'm going to take the pendulum leader off, which requires 2 pairs of pliers, so we can open up this suspension piece up here without causing any damage. I'll hold that and then open the first one up, then down to the next one, grip with a pair of pliers and open it. So that's now open, that will come off, but before we do that we're going to have to open up the bottom of the crutch down here, and I can do that easily enough by holding it and putting a screwdriver in it and turning it slowly to the left, and that will open up the crutch sufficient that I can take the pendulum leader off. Pop that out there. I'll close those up just a tiny little bit, not very much, so they don't slip off the pendulum leader. A bit of rust on the pendulum leader there, we'll clean that up before it goes back in. Now let's have a look and see what we got here. Bits of rust on stuff there, I'll have to check that before it goes back in. The platform should be spinning a little bit and it's not. Alright, well, we're going to have to investigate that and find out. First up, I think I'll take the little bird off to make sure he doesn't get damaged. I'll put a text to mark where it is on his perch, and then undo the screw. Once I've done that, he'll slip straight off. Tighten the screw up a tiny bit so it doesn't drop out. The bird could do with a clean up, pretty grubby. We'll clean that up. So the bird's out of the road now, and we'll see that's the main wheel that drives the music box. So that one there as you can see, drives the time train. You can see the escape wheel turning around. And the other main wheel, which is stuck in there, we'll have to wait and see till we get in there. Alright, regular 25 movement. And I'm intrigued why the platform doesn't move. It's caught somewhere down there. Alright, back to reality. Right, let's start removing parts. We'll start off by moving the hammer, which happens to have a spring going around there. Yep, there's a hole there. It wraps in through that hole. Alright, that's got him. Now, wind the hammer back. That little lug there will line up with the hole in the back plate, and it will just come straight out. Then the low note does the same, and then the high note lift lever comes out. Alright, now we'll turn the movement over. We'll have a look at this side and see what we've got in the way of. I'll lift the rack stop lever out so that we can get the rack to sit there. Now we need to do that. Rack stop lever is bent a little bit too. It's touching on the post there for the dancers. Well, we'll see if we can turn that round. I'll lift the rack stop lever, hold that up, and see what we've got here in the way of. That is looking absolutely horrible. We need to see how it sits down at the bottom once the rack stop lever drops in. Alright, I'll take some of these parts off the front of the movement, I think. So we'll gradually work our way through and see what's happening. Alright, we've got a circlip on our rack. Move that out. A pair of tweezers to collect it. Pick it up so we don't lose it. Put it aside. Then lift the rack up and it should come off. And there it goes. I'll put that over there. Now there'll be another C-clip down on there. Not that it's easy to see at the moment, but there will be one there. So I'll have a look and see whether a bit more light on the subject might help.